What happens when a game fails so hard the devs give the sequel away for free and then try to fix everything 15 years later? Well, that's what Stardock is trying to do with Elemental Reforged, a remaster that pulls together not one but three games to fix what they couldn't finish back then. But is this all a little too late? The first Elemental War of Magic came at a time when Stardock was definitely a much more well-known developer in the PC gaming space after the release of Galactic Civilization 2 and Sins of a Solar Empire, which by the way is not developed by them but it's published by them. So for fans, Elemental was a pretty big deal. Stardock sold us this vision that it was going to be the ultimate fantasy sandbox strategy game and partly RPGs, from making your heroes, races, and a procedurally generated world a new experience at every playthrough. The final game though was a bit of a shit show, to be honest. It was a bug fest, crashes, memory leaks, the game sometimes was even unplayable for many people. The game itself, if you got past the technical issues, felt unfinished, like it was a beta test. The world, the systems felt all half-baked. Stardock and its founder Brad Wardell lost a lot of goodwill from the community with that game, which they admitted was a failure, to the extent they gave the next game, Fallen Enchantress, which came out 4 years after Elemental War of Magic, for free to those that purchased the first game. Something they didn't mention in their press release for Elemental Reforged, but we'll let bygones be bygones. Brad did somewhat acknowledge this, saying the game was stifled by technical issues, limited by a 32-bit engine that didn't allow them to fully execute on their original vision for the game, so they made it into 3 games. The original vision was for Elemental to be the ultimate sandbox fantasy game, an immersive procedural fantasy world, characters and races that you can make from scratch, and bountiful of quests and crafting, which was something they added in Sorcerer King. Sounds spiffing, but there's only one small problem. This vision has already been delivered by another developer with another game. The ultimate fantasy sandbox experience is Age of Wonders 4. Now, you may or may not like Age of Wonders 4 for whatever reason. If you don't like Age of Wonders 4, do tell me in the comments why. But Age of Wonders 4 does have a meta campaign, heroes and races that you can create. While it may not have an amazing huge narrative, actually they are just in those smaller points of interest and I suppose scripted realms or maps. Age of Wonders 4 has done a phenomenal job of doing something new in a genre that honestly, quite frankly, until this day, we've had people trying to emulate Master of Magic, which I'm sure Brad Wardell was also inspired by. Now, I don't want to poo-poo all over Elemental Reforged. God, even the name Reforged reminds me of another stink of a game. But all things considered, it is still something admirable. Brad Wardell and Stardock to return to this game and trying to make it right to live up to its original vision. I can't stop feeling it's a little personal to him. That failure of Elemental War of Magic must have stung pretty bad for him, because 15 years later, I wouldn't expect a big game company to do this, frankly. This is, in what a AAA industry would say, not a viable business decision to undertake. But business decision be damned, because Brad Wardell and team are out to make a point, to redeem themselves. Can they do it? Personally, I don't think Elemental Reforged will make a huge splash for most gamers, even for strategy gamers. I mean, remember this year we've also got Endless Legend 2? So Elemental Reforged may not be at the top of the most wanted list, but for the fans that remember what Stardock once was, is this some sort of redemption, a chance to finally say, Stardock, you did alright. You stuck to your guts, believed in the vision after all these years, and completed an epic redemption arc. But one thing I do hope for is for better trailers from Stardock, because this one didn't do much for me. Not showing the game in its best light, frankly, but I'll leave it at that. Anyway, do tell me in the comments, have you played any of the previous Elemental games? What did you think of them? And if the price is right, would you get Elemental Reforged? There's no release date announced yet, but I would be surprised if it didn't come out this year. Anyway, speaking of fantasy games, I did a video recently about Paradox potentially announcing a brand new grand strategy game that's not historical, possibly their first fantasy game. You can check out that video over here. Thanks for watching and farewell, noble friends.